Next, we have a sister that's very well known to all of us at Islam Channel, taken captive by the Taliban, came back to Britain, and so impressed was she by Islam that she became a member of a 1 billion strong family, Sister Yvonne Ridley!
Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to dedicate today's speech to Sheikh Anwar Olauki, who's held in prison in Sana'a in the Yemen at the behest of the United States. He's a great imam, and I have huge respect for him. Please make dua for him. Islamically, I am very young, having reverted in 2003. And while I have much to learn, I can identify with the frustrations shared by Muslims today. I know 9/11 had a huge impact on the world, but it wasn't the start of something. It was the continuation of a legacy of US imperialism and its fear of Islam. Just over 10 years ago, fit young Muslims across the globe flooded into Bosnia to help their brothers and sisters fight for their survival against the Serbs who were carrying out genocide, sanctioned by the silence of the watching world. The jihad brought together Muslims from all nationalities, status and culture. Everyone was united. Even those who couldn't travel helped in other ways, such as fundraising, public awareness. The impact was to stop the genocide. Western intervention, when it happened, came only after it was obvious that Bosnian Muslims were heading for victory. The establishment of an Islamic State deep in the heart of Europe was simply too much to bear, and so the West intervened. This is not my conclusion, but the conclusion of American President Bill Clinton in his autobiography. This fear of Islam has now evolved in the last 10 years to such an extent that the blood of our brothers and sisters is now flowing like rivers across Chechnya, Kashmir, Palestine, Afghanistan, Iraq, and we saw recently what happened in Lebanon. I have walked through many of these killing fields, and let me tell you that the twisted, blown-up limbs of our Muslim brothers and sisters look exactly like those pulled from the rubble of the Twin Towers. Yet the message today is quite clear. Muslim blood is a cheap commodity. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of innocent Muslims continue to be tortured in faraway lands like Guantanamo Bay, Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, Abu Ghraib, Diego Garcia, and ghost prisons throughout the world. Meanwhile, in the dungeons of Syria, Jordan, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, brothers are being tortured at the request of the United States. And don't think the British government is not involved. British intelligence officers will soon be named and shamed for their roles. Even now, 9 British residents remain in Guantanamo Bay. The Americans don't want them, but neither does this government. Despite the weasel words of the Foreign Office, all it will take is a phone call to have those brothers released and brought back home to their families. And don't think it's just the brothers who are being incarcerated and tortured. Moazzam Beg, who is here today at the caged prisoner's stall, can still hear his sister's screams down the corridors of the torture cells in Afghanistan when he was held by the Americans. More details of those can be found from the caged prisoners website. Hardly a single detainee has been released due to legal action, but through political pressure. That is when the governments get involved. So you here today can make a difference. Don't just sit and get angry, get even. Put pressure on your politicians and remind them that you are their political masters. In Surah Al-Ashr, God promises that the whole of mankind, including Muslims, is at loss, except those who believe, do righteous deeds, and those who enjoin the truth and patience. Only by fulfilling the 4 criteria will we be able to meet Allah. However, if we bury our heads in the sand and pretend that there is no oppression in the world and that these brothers and sisters mean nothing to us, then maybe we will not get to meet him. Even Ken MacDonald, Britain's chief prosecutor, is disgusted by this government's actions. He launched a scathing attack on secret courts in a direct attack at the government. These courts try terror suspects who are not allowed to see the evidence against them. It is an affront to justice. He told Islam Channel News in an exclusive interview, "We should be clear, these principles are not negotiable. We don't want secret courts. We don't want vetted judges. We don't want secret justice." This is Britain's top law enforcer. And of course he is right. But Tony Blair says Muslims have got to stop having a victim mentality. Think about what sort of message he is sending out to our young people. They read about the heroic exploits of Saladin Ayyubi, Khalid bin Walid, Tariq bin Zayed, and listen intently to stories of courage and bravery about our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him. Do you know, 5 years ago, I had never even heard of the Prophet, peace be upon him, but now I would give my last drop of blood to defend his name and honour. Even in death, he showed how strong he was by uniting the Ummah in protest at those vile cartoons from Denmark. Our modern-day heroes include the 60s martyrs, Malcolm X and Saeed Qutb, both whose writings have helped define me as a Muslim. These are the sort of role models our youth need to follow, but instead they received mixed and confused messages. If Blair gets his way, he'll try and ban this book. It's called Milestones, and its writings helped define me as a Muslim. The reason he wants to ban this book is that Osama bin Laden has read it. Well, Osama bin Laden has also read Sheikh Zubair. That's Shakespeare to you and me. So should we ban Twelfth Night, Hamlet and other great classics? 1 minute our youth are told to fear no one but Allah, while the next minute they are told to dilute their Islam and keep their heads down. Since the events of 9/11, there has been an unrelenting campaign launched to change Islam into something more palatable to Western society. The vision is a secular and cultural Islam at peace with the world through her submission to her oppressors rather than to Allah. An Islam devoid of jihad, sharia and khilafah, the very things we are commanded by Allah to implement in order to establish Allah's deen on this earth. And it is in evidence everywhere. Hijabs have been ripped off the heads of our sisters in Tunisia, France and Turkey. Sisters in Holland and Germany are also in the firing line. And in Britain, the former British Foreign Secretary dares to question the veil. He might not like the nikab. In fact, I wish he would put it on with a great big gag. How dare a white, middle-aged man tell me and my sisters how to dress? The niqab, like the veil, like the hijab, has become a symbol of a rejection of those negative Western lifestyles, like drug-taking, binge-drinking and promiscuity. It is a statement telling the West, we don't want to be like you. Muslims who choose to be more Western than Westerners make me laugh. Do they realize how silly they look to the world? They hide behind such descriptions as moderate. Again, what sort of message does that send out to our young people? If we ask them to be moderate, does that not suggest that there's something wrong with Islam? That it needs to be toned down and diluted? What is a moderate and what is an extremist? I really don't know. I am a simple Muslim. I follow no scholars or sects. I merely follow the Prophet and the Sunnah. Does that make me an extremist? I don't think Tony Blair knows himself. I wrote to him 3 months ago and I am still waiting for a reply for his definition of an extremist. Being a Muslim is like being pregnant. You either are or you're not. Who ever heard of anyone being moderately pregnant? Islam has been under attack for 1400 years, and we should have learned now to put our trust in no one but Allah. Yet there are those who continue to kiss the hand which slaps them.